Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the market open. Today is currently March the 30th, and as we kick off this new trading session, first and foremost, I'm still currently under the weather, so I'm going to be off of the mic and camera for the most part, but I'll be jumping on for the trade callouts and levels. No one wants to hear me sniffling and sneezing. So that being said, what we're watching today, markets are gapping up and pushing higher. This likely is window dressing into the end of the month. So we obviously had some GDP came in a little bit less than expected on the macro side. Initial job loss claims came in slightly higher than expected, but really flat. And then you did have core PCE come in a little bit hotter. So initially it spiked yields. Yields are actually up, but the dollar is down, so markets are rejoicing. The Qs are gapping up, spiders are gapping up, and the Russell is gapping up. So again, I'm not a proponent of chasing this market higher, especially on gap ups, and especially since we've had back-to-back gap ups to the upside. So what I'm going to be looking at is some short trades. I'm looking at Alibaba. Basically, the level is 103 Pierce for a short trade on Alibaba. Technical gap fill. It is extended in the short term. I'm also looking at Intel. INTC is the ticker. I'm looking at Intel for a short around the 3224 level. And then Nvidia is also on the radar, potentially around the double top zone around 275.92. So those are the trades that I am looking at right now. There might be some more that come on the radar, but as of now, those are the ones we're watching. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's anything else on the radar, but everything is pretty much up in the pre-market. Not many stocks are down. It's interesting to see Meta down. So Meta, big weighted cap in the communications, that's actually down in a strong market today. So that's a little bit of a relative weakness play. Microsoft is pushing up again. So we shorted that yesterday with a win in our pocket. So I am looking at that level. Basically, anything on Microsoft above 285. So Microsoft is actually looking to make a new high, but I like anything above 285 for a potential short trade. You can see we have this little bit of an upsloping trend line. The top of that trend line would likely be around 285.28, 285.30, give or take, but anything above 285 is a level on Microsoft. So again, markets are looking very, very strong at this point in time. So we'll just have to respect the price action as it unfolds. But we should have some shortable opportunities with this gap up. Back-to-back gap ups generally result in a fade, but I think we're getting late chasing into this quarterly end. Institutions are hopping on the tech train here, trying to window dress their portfolio. Another one I am looking at is Micron. Those horrific fundamentals just have it hasn't substantiated this rally. I mean, for Micron to be up on that earnings report is just horrific. You know, the stock market doesn't really make much sense at times, but it is what it is. We trade the price action in front of us. In terms of a Micron level, anything above 64.42, the aggressive level is basically a pierce of this 64.42 level. So basically this is a little bit of a double top zone. If you're wanting to be a little bit more conservative, if the markets continue to push up, then we're going to be looking at a pierce of $65. So the things that I like right now, probably the best trade setups that I'm keeping an eye on is BABA, definitely Intel, and Microsoft. Micron's a little bit off that level, but it could get a little bit of a push. And Microsoft I do like. It's definitely a heavy volume weighted stock, mega cap, but I do like Microsoft for a short as well. Alright, so keep those on your radar. I'm probably going to play Microsoft myself. Apple's also up in the pre-market. So is AMD. Actually, AMD is a pretty good one as well. I was eyeing up this one in the pre-market. The level on AMD though, so we're trading at 97.64. I have here on my other chart, if it could actually push up to 100, or even this pivot zone over here, I may get interested. but the better technical level is around the 100 Pierce level. So we'll just keep that on the radar. So AMD is actually looking to negate that little mini topping formation that was triggered. So yesterday all day it was rejected, rejected, rejected. So will we see the rejection come in, or will it negate this pattern? Time will tell. As of now, we are gapping back above that level, but it doesn't mean that that pattern is negated. We really need to see, since it's an hourly chart pattern, this little head and shoulders, what we need to see is an hourly close. So within this first 60 minutes of trading, we will know if this pattern is negated or not. Bitcoin is starting to soften up a little bit here into the pre-market. Still had a nice pop last night, which was kind of faded pretty quickly. Natural gas is under pressure. Oil slightly positive. Another one that I'm eyeing up as well is XOM for a short. XOM. The level I like on XOM is basically a pierce of that 110 level. Pierce of the 110 level. Actually, I have some trend lines up there already. But there's 110 there. 110.50. Alright, so markets are going to be set to open in about 8 minutes. I'm just going to go silent on the mic here so you avoid my sniffles. But I will be back on for the open and then calling out any other trades that I see. I'm just going to scan through my pre-market checklist here, and if I see anything worth mentioning, I will hop back on the mic. But I will be here for, obviously, the open. Alright, so we have about a minute and a half here, minute and 16 seconds to the open. So things just pulled off of the highs slightly there. Gold saw a little bit of a drop. Yields are basically, the 2-year yield is trying to perk back up. Keep BABA on the screen, Microsoft as well. So Microsoft is probably going to be my favorite. It is pulling off of the pre-market high. Hopefully we can get a push. We have about 30 seconds till the open. 30 seconds till the open. Dollar's catching a small bid. Our markets are about to open. Our markets are open, guys. Keep Microsoft on the radar. I'm getting some alerts here. Spiders are coming down off of the highs, just slightly though. Just slightly. I'm watching Intel, BABA, Microsoft's coming in. So now Microsoft's pretty much off the table right now because it is pulling in. I'm still watching it, but keep BABA on the radar. That's on the radar. Intel is another one. INTC is the ticker. Basically 32.20, another 20 cents on Intel, and we can pull off a short. So definitely keep Intel on the radar because that's one of the more likelier ones coming in. Spiders are under a little bit of pressure. Nvidia's pulled off of the highs. Microsoft is seeing a pretty big fall from the highs right now. AMD, I'm watching that. Apple's obviously still positive, gapping up. Markets are coming in now though. Spiders. Tesla's up 1%. BABA's up 1.8%. Nvidia is coming in. BABA's coming in. Spiders are also coming in. So will we see this gap filled today? Remember, we had this big gap up and this big gap up. Dollar's trying to catch a small bid. Microsoft's coming in pretty hard here. Let's do a quick check on Lulu. If Lulu came up to this double top again, preferably this 375, but double top is a potential level. BABA's coming in pretty hard now. Take a look at the Qs. The Qs are coming in pretty hard. Take a look at Microsoft again. So Microsoft pulled off of the highs there pretty substantially, but Nvidia's starting to get a bounce, so the semis are likely going to push up if Nvidia is pushing up. Alright, so Intel's still on watch here. Intel is on watch. Markets are getting a nice bid. Qs are at the highs of the session. Microsoft is still on watch as well because that's pushing right back up. Right back up. Spiders are pushing up. Qs are still at the highs, but they're pulling off slightly. Nvidia is pushing up. BABA's trying to catch a bid. AMD is rallying. Nvidia is pushing back to the highs. Micron's seeing some weakness. So that's a little bit of a relative weakness in the semis. Take a look at the Qs here. Definitely money still rotating into tech. And again, we can actually short the Qs if we get a pre-market takeout of this high here. Oh, Intel's coming up, guys, so that's actually one of the better ones that I want to play. And you know what? I'm going to grab some short here on Intel. I just got filled at 32.06. Thought I picked the high there, but they filled me at 32.06. That's unfortunate. So you can get a fill better than I can. 32.06, and then I'll add basically at 32.36, 20 cents higher, 30 cents higher. So the next ad level on Intel is 32.36. Microsoft's coming back in, so are the Qs, so that should help our Intel trade. Nat Gas is trying to catch a bid. Intel's still remaining very, very strong. Apple's at the highs of the session. Apple's testing that double top. So Apple's also a potential short at double top. I'm just going to focus on Intel right now. Spiders are still acting well. Intel's acting well. BABA's also pushing up. Let's take a look at BABA. If BABA pushes up, pierces 103, I'll execute a short on BABA. So BABA's pushing up. Pierce of 103 on BABA. I will execute a short. Intel's still just remaining strong. Microsoft's still off of the highs. Qs are seeing some minor distribution. The SPY is still acting well. We're about 6 cents out of the money on Intel. Coin is coming in pretty sharply. That's because Bitcoin might be under a little bit of pressure. Let's take a look at Micron again. Micron's starting to push back up. Apple's seeing a little bit of distribution. So keep BABA on the radar here. And I'm also watching Intel. Intel's about 13 cents away. All right, BABA, I'm going to short BABA here. I just got filled at 103.04. 103.04, short BABA. Oh, check out Intel. I'm going to add to my Intel here. Pretty fast session. I'll let you know if I get filled. Alright, I just added to my Intel here at 32.31. 32.31. BABA's also pushing up. I'll let you know my averages in a second. I'm just trying to get my wits about me here. So my average on Intel's 32.18. 32.18. BABA's still acting well. So BABA's acting well. Intel's pulling in nicely now. We're seeing the spiders come down. So we're in the money on Intel. Seeing some distribution. Alright, Nvidia's coming in pretty hard here. Semis are coming in pretty hard. Regional banks are coming in. Nat Gas is pushing up. Let's take a look at BABA. BABA, we're in the money as well. We are in the money on BABA. Spiders are catching another little bid here. Intel's right back up. So they don't want to take these markets down. It seems like they want to keep these markets back up. My next ad level on BABA would be about 103.85. So 103.04 is the level that I'm at right now. About 80 cents higher, 103.84 on BABA I'll add. Intel's pushing up as well. That's acting well. Next ad level on Intel would be about 32.61. Alright, so Intel's still at the highs. BABA's pulling off slightly from the highs. So Intel's acting very, very well. Here comes BABA. We're in the money, almost $1 right now. Almost a full dollar. I want to see a little bit more. Intel's still remaining strong, but extended. Very, very extended. Alright, we're seeing Intel move down now as well. Spiders are under pressure. Qs are rolling down. Come on. Let's see what we can get here. Intel, we're still slightly out of the money, but now it's coming in sharper. Micron's falling sharper. Apple's putting a potential 10-minute doji candle. Microsoft's definitely off the highs. Spiders are trickling lower. BABA's still remaining very strong at this point in time. Micron is rolling hard here, down. We're in the money on Intel. We're in the money on BABA. Spiders are still acting pretty resilient though. In terms of the Intel, I'm looking for about maybe 28 cents here. Right back down to these pivots. Maybe we can get that. But the spiders are still acting well, so are the Qs. Apple's still under a little bit of sell side pressure. BABA's trying to climb back to the upside here. I'm just going to tighten up this around 25 cents on Intel. That's what I'm looking for. 25 cents per share on Intel. Let's take a look at BABA because that's floating right back up. Spiders are still acting well. Nat gas is trying to push up. Spiders are also acting very, very well. Qs are pushing back up. So that's the spider chart. This is the Q chart. Nvidia is pushing right back to the high. BABA just blasted through our level. So be ready to add to BABA at 103.85. 103.85. And basically 104.65. Spiders are still acting very resilient here. Nvidia is trying to push back up. Microsoft's still under a little bit of pressure. Basically flat on Intel. Just slightly out of the money on BABA. So BABA's pushing up. I still like that level on BABA to add. Intel, we're basically flat. That's under a little bit of distribution. Spiders are now coming in a little bit harder here. So that should help our trade, but they're acting very, very well. The Qs are also acting well. Let's take a look at oil. Oil's trying to catch a bid. XOM still hasn't hit our level. Alright, Intel's coming in pretty hard here. I'm looking for a 3190, 3191 cover. BABA's pushing up, so I'm still interested in that 103.85 level. So keep that on your radar. Spiders are still holding near the highs. Microsoft's coming in though. So Microsoft coming in sharper now. So is Intel. Alright, we're in the money on our Intel. So Baba's still remaining strong. Nvidia is remaining strong. Microsoft's at the lows. Apple's seeing some distribution. Baba's pushing up, so get ready to add to our Baba short. Intel's coming in, guys, so be ready to cover Intel. Alright guys, I'm covering Intel. I just covered Intel here at 31.90. 31.90. Boom. Hit our target exactly. That's 25 cents times 1,000 shares to us. Perfect. Let's focus on Baba now. Let's focus on Baba because that's still acting very, very well. But this one's super extended on the daily time frames and the intraday time frames. So Baba is the focus now. Spiders are coming in. I'm almost tempted to add to my Baba here, but I'm going to wait for that 80 level because there's so much hype around China stocks right now, especially with this splitting into 6 companies. So one winner in our pocket. Let's see if we can get a little final push up here on Baba. The spiders are coming in here. Nvidia is still pushing near the highs. AMD is surging. AMD at 100.25. I like that level on AMD, so keep that on the radar as well. Obviously, we're watching Baba closely. This stock is just a powerhouse. Spiders are catching a small bid, so are the Qs. Dollar softening. All right, Baba's into that level now, guys. I did not get filled. I repeat, I did not get filled. It just missed that level. Alright, I'm taking a 103.80 here. Baba, 103.80. I just got filled at 103.80. So my average now on Baba is 103.40. And this stock is soaring and roaring. So Baba's still acting extremely well here. There is a gap fill on Baba around 104.79. So perhaps that's going to be the next level to add. 104.79 is a pretty big level. Gap fill around 104.79. So in and around this vicinity will be our next add level. I'll just have to see how it pierces. Nvidia just made a new high. Microsoft's still under pressure. Gold's coming in, which may be signaling the dollar's about to see a little bit of a bounce. Our average on Baba is 103.40. It's a 2-6 position. 2-6 position, and you can see it's being a good little add level there. Alright, Baba's coming in. So I'm going to look for about, on Baba, at least 50 cents. I think we can get more, but at least 50. Basically 50 cents to $1. I'll have to adjust on the fly in terms of how the spiders are doing in the Qs. And again, the theme that we've been seeing is light volume floats into the afternoon. As after the initial volume spike comes into the market, we've been seeing these light volume floats, and I don't want to get caught in that. I just want to be in and out of our day trades when we have the volume here in the morning, preferably out of the day trade by 10:30, because if they do have a light volume float again like they have had the last 3 days, it's not favorable to short. That's why we just want to be in and out in the morning, have a quick entry, make our profit, and then sit back and watch. Spiders are still acting very well. Still haven't taken out the highs though. We're in the money on Baba now, so that's good to see. And again, the common theme that China stocks have done, they've been notorious for gapping up and cracking to the downside. So I wouldn't even be surprised if BABA came back all the way down here. That would be a massive win for us. It certainly would. I'm just going to move this yellow support line there. Dollar's trying to catch a small bid. Take a look at gold. So I think gold is telling us maybe that there's a potential dollar bounce. And gold's really not that strong in comparison to how much the dollar's down. Alright, BABA's under a little bit of pressure here. Nvidia's still at the highs. Right now we're seeing Tesla up 1.12, BABA's up 3.5. Just even look at this daily chart on BABA. I mean, it's so extended. It's been a rocket ship. You know, after you had a good move, but you are into this consolidation. BABA's continuing to push. Another one I'm interested in is actually SQ Square at 72.64. It's still a ways away. It's about $2.40 away, but it could get up there. Spiders are trying to push up and make a new high. Microsoft's lagging. Nvidia's a powerhouse. Tesla's doing exceptionally well today. You're seeing the China stocks. Google's down 1.2. That's interesting. Schwab is down 2.6. That's very interesting too. What's this EVGO doing? EVGO. That's gapping up. That's also electric car maker. Or something. It's hitting the 200, but considering you hit it here, you would really want to see it pierce a little bit more. So EVGO, I like the 814 level. How's the volume on this? Yeah, 5 million. Liquid, liquid, liquid. Very liquid. Meta's pushing back up. Spiders are under a little bit of distribution, but still acting well. Banks, the KRE's under some pressure. JP Morgan's under pressure. The Russell's starting to come in, but the spiders are still acting very resilient here, holding most of the gains. Bitcoin. So I find it interesting to see Bitcoin's actually taking a nice little dump here. So let's take a look at some of these other stocks like Mara, M-A-R-A. That's still up. Hut Mining. Oh, another one actually, MSTR. That had a massive day yesterday. If we just look at the daily chart, and BABA's starting to come in a little bit. MARA, I like this 294.09. If that can push up there, I'm actually going to put a small alert there. I would short MSTR there, MicroStrategy. Spiders are starting to come in slightly here. Ever so slightly. Meta's trying to push up. BABA's trying to push up. Nvidia's pulling off the highs. Microsoft looks like it wants to go to gap fill. Spiders, will they take out the lows? BABA's continuing to be resilient here. So spiders are trickling lower. BABA's still pushing up. KRE's under pressure. Banks, there's weakness in banks today. Healthcare is seeing some distribution as well. Bitcoin's bouncing here. BABA's still trying to push up. Spiders are acting well. Yields are softening. Dollar's softening some more. Apple did put in a 10-minute topping tail, and it hasn't taken out that high yet. And Microsoft is still exceptionally weak off of the highs. It is positive, but it is looking like it wants to trickle down to this gap. So we'll see if that happens. Still watching BABA. Meta had a nice bounce off of the lows, so it's basically to the positive side. If you look at Google, that's weak. Very, very weak. Let's take a look at Amazon. That one's actually doing very, very well here. Up 1.6. So BABA's continuing to push up here. Floating. Spiders are also floating up near the highs. Apple's floating. Microsoft's floating. Natural gas inventories are out at 10:30. 10:30 natural gas inventories. BABA's up 4% now. Holy. Crazy, crazy price action on BABA. BABA's starting to come in now, ever so slightly. Home builders are acting well, commercial real estate. Spiders are pushing up near the highs. So the market is being single-handedly lifted by the spiders. BABA's seeing a little bit of minor distribution. If AI was to push up to a Pierce of 29, we could actually have a short trade there. Let me just erase all of these trend lines here. Still a ways away. Take a look at Schwab, guys. SCHW. Something is lurking there. This is a massive broker, I mean, and it's getting demolished. So let's just run through the quick banks here. JPM, just lagging the market. So again, you're seeing banks lag the market. Bank of America also lagging. How about Citigroup? That's actually doing relatively well. It's not lagging. Wells Fargo, that's actually, it's still lagging the market. KRE. BABA's starting to come in a little bit harder now. Spiders are trying to push near the highs. Microsoft's catching a bid. Apple's testing the highs. So is Nvidia. So is AMD. So BABA maybe has a 10-minute topping tail. Q's just made a new high. So do the spiders. So the markets are ripping here. Markets are ripping. So China stocks are starting to see some weakness. Baidu is down 2.33%. Tencent is remaining very, very strong. Take a look at these energy stocks. They're still acting well. BABA, we're slightly in the money, but I'm going to hold on to this one. I want a little bit more. Just going to do a quick check on my other screens here of Lulu. Ooh, that's had a nasty fade. Intel's starting to creep back up as well. So if Intel were to pierce or come into this double top, we could short it again. BABA's starting to come in a little bit harder now. Bitcoin's under pressure. Gold's caught a little bit of bounce. Maybe a 10-minute topping tail in the Qs. Apple is getting rejected after testing that double top. Apple's getting rejected. Spiders are also starting to come in. Take a look at the Qs. QQQ. So I'm noticing there's relative weakness. So Mega Cap Tech didn't take out its high like Microsoft, despite the Qs briefly making a new high. So it's a little bit of relative weakness there. Schwab is still down 4%. Bank of America is almost to the negative side. BABA's still up 3.2. Intel's up 1.9. Tesla's just up just under 1%. Russell and the Qs are under a little bit of minor pressure. Nike's starting to come in. GE, Las Vegas Sands. Crypto's under some minor pressure. KRE's about to go negative, the regional banks. So that's pretty telling. Almost to the negative side after a big gap up. I mean, we're talking about a gap up of over 1.3%, and it's almost negative. That's not a good sign for the markets. BABA is still bouncing. Nvidia is still at the highs, so semis are still seeing rotation of capital, maybe out of banking stocks into these semi plays. It's really wild to see how strong these semis are. You know, you've barely got a pullback on Nvidia, and it's back up. I still like AMD. Nvidia at double top, that's an interesting level. Spiders are under some distribution. Let's take a look at AMD. So in 25 minutes, AMD will negate this topping formation if it closes up here. It would have to have a significant sell-off back underneath this neckline for that pattern to still be valid. As of now, it is negating that topping formation. Let's see if the spiders engulf this price action. So right now, this 5-minute candle is engulfing this little green candle. Let's see if we got, yep, it's a bearish engulfing. On the 10-minute, the spiders are coming in harder now. Bitcoin's dumping. Bitcoin is dumping. Let's take a look at coin. Coin's under some pressure. Take a look at Mara, M-A-R-A. Baba's starting to come in. So you have a bearish engulfing on the 10 minutes so far. The big question is, will it last? Earn the money on our Baba trade, just slightly. I would not be surprised if Baba gapped and cracked, especially if the spiders do that. So I might be greedy and just hold for some extra profits. We have lots of time until the 10:30 time frame. Now you're starting to see the Dixie catch a little minor bid. Put in a 5-minute reversal candle here and it's starting to push up. Baba's dumping a little bit harder now, reacting to that dollar. China stocks are extremely sensitive to the dollar. So as you can see, Baba had a terrific backdrop and tailwind behind it with the dollar weakening over the last basically 2 weeks. Apple's coming in. Spiders are still engulfing the last 30 minutes of price action in this last 10-minute candle. So we'll have to see if that transpires. So let's go to the 15-minute chart here. So you can see how it's an engulfing candle. 8 minutes. You'll have some support at this previous pivot, but realistically that's not that major. Dollar's still catching a bid. Still watching Baba on the other screens. There's no other trade setups right now. What is this VHC? So we're about 37 minutes into the trading session. VertNet X holding. Don't know what the heck they are doing. Let's take a look at some of these dumpster fire companies. AFRM still positive. CVNA. Oh, I wanted to check out that other bank. FCNCA, I believe it is. First Citizens. This one actually intrigues me for a short. I'm actually going to pick that up on the short side. FCNCA. First Citizens. It's a little bit smaller on the thin side, its market cap, so I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on this one. 12 billion, that could be bought out by Bank of America, JPM pretty quickly, so I'm not going to actually short that one. So spiders are catching a little bit of a bid here. So healthcare is also starting to come in. So now you have the second largest sector, which is XLV, also starting to see some weakness. You take out these pre-market lows, you're likely going to gap fill. So that's going to weigh on the S&P. And you just took out the low, You haven't closed, but you are testing the lows. So healthcare is extremely important to pay attention to. BABA's catching another bid. BABA's trying to push back up. Healthcare is still under some pressure. Bitcoin's as well. We have nat gas inventories coming out soon in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Nat gas is under pressure at the moment. Alright, so we just saw the spiders on a 10-minute basis put in a bearish engulfing candle. So that should lead to more downside. Now the volume trends are going to be critical. They're still very light. We'll see if we can get on the 15-minute candle. Meta is interesting here for a short trade. If Meta was to go to the double top around 207.90, 207.94, that would be a short. BABA's starting to come in a little bit more now. So BABA's still under pressure. You're seeing AMD, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft also under pressure, so that's going to weigh in on the market. We are in the money on BABA, but I want more. We've closed one winner. I'm going to be a little bit greedy with this China stock. Take a look at some of those safety plays like McDonald's. They haven't really taken out the highs. The transports are up nicely. The VIX is starting to catch a bid. So despite the markets being up, you're seeing the UVXY also positive. That's a little bit of a basically a divergence. It's a relative strength divergence for the VIX. It's a relative weakness for the markets, and you typically don't see that. But again, what that's saying is institutions are buying protection on this market, and the spiders should go negative if the VIX is up. Look at BABA dump. Look at the big dump. Huge profits in the money right now. I want more though. I want more. Dollars catching a bid. Huge profits here on BABA. Let's keep going. It may get a short-term bounce as people chase it. But so far we are in the money nicely here. Over 80 cents already. See if we can get at least $1 or more. I would not be surprised if it goes negative. These markets are under a little bit of pressure, and I am seeing that VIX creep up. You potentially have an hourly topping tail on AMD, and the interesting thing about AMD, which we discussed, what did we discuss? AMD had an hourly pattern. If it closes still, it has 16 minutes. If it closes back inside of this channel, this topping formation is still valid. So that's going to be interesting to watch on AMD. I am watching on my other screen, because if that goes negative, I mean, that's not healthy. Let's see if we can get some more downside on BABA. It is bouncing here, holding up. Bitcoin's having a big dump here. Nice big dump on Bitcoin. That's good to see. So after Bitcoin made a new high yesterday, it's collapsing. Well, not collapsing. It's just having a decent sell-off. I shouldn't exaggerate. But don't be surprised if these spiders fill this gap. So it's funny how it made a new high last night, and that high was instantly reversed on Bitcoin. Instantly. BABA's still coming down. Spiders are still under some pressure. Markets are trying to catch a small bounce here though. KRE just went negative, so regional banks just went negative. Qs are getting a bounce here. BABA's catching a small bounce. Intel's almost back to the highs. Healthcare's almost gone negative. Take a look at Intel. It's very intriguing to reshort this. I'll watch Intel on my other screen. Healthcare's almost gone to the negative side. Spiders are bouncing. Qs are bouncing. We do have nat gas inventories in 15 minutes. Pay attention to that aspect of the market. If we see the inventories with a larger drawdown, that's bullish. If it's a less of a drawdown, that's bearish. Take a look at BABA. We're in the money about $1 here, just under $1. BABA's still rolling. BABA is still rolling. Healthcare is almost negative. Microsoft is testing the lows. Still watching that AMD chart. BABA's still up 2.47%. Spiders are still positive on the session. Let's do a quick check on that VIX, see if people are buying protection still. And they are. Look at this. VIX is pushing higher here, guys. This is going to put pressure on the markets here. This is going to continue to put pressure. As long as that VIX continues to go up, the markets should see more downside. Intel had a hard rejection. AMD is still fighting. Spiders are testing the lows. Qs are still holding up. Russell, KRE is still negative after being up over 1%. Bitcoin's catching a minor bounce. BABA's catching a small technical bounce here. It's hitting the short-term moving average. So UVXY, you can see why the VIX is running into some resistance here. A little bit of resistance. But the spiders are still trickling lower. Testing the lows. Qs are still holding up. Microsoft's also testing the lows. Let's take a look at Baidu, BIDU. It's another China play. See, and this is why I think we could see more downside in BABA. Look at the discrepancy. Baidu's down 3%. Tencent is actually up still. TME, but that's a hard sell-off on Tencent. BABA's catching a bounce here though. Spiders are still at the lows. Qs are still holding up. Apple's holding up. Again, this is a big level for AMD. Will AMD close back below this trend line? That's the big question. If it does, that's super bearish for AMD in the semis. Very bearish. Because you were up substantially. Spiders are still at the lows. The dollar is taking a breather. KRE's at the lows. Microsoft just made a new intraday low. Apple's still holding up though. The beloved Apple. Alright, I'm covering BABA here, guys. 102.45. 102.45. I covered BABA. That's a nice win in our pocket. Basically, I'm seeing the spiders bounce, so I wanted to just take our profits. Because we can always re-enter. So that's about a 95 cents win times 300 shares. Boom, boom. Alright, so 2 for 2 today. That's good to see. Do I think BABA still heads down? Yeah, I do think it does head down, but and again, we're approaching that 10:30 time frame where the volume typically lightens up. Day traders are pretty much maxed and finished. Banks are still under pressure, but I wouldn't be surprised if BABA went lower. But the spiders are still trying to bounce here. But the volume trends are starting to lighten up, so I just want to get out of that trade for now. Wow, look at this power surge on Meta. Go figure that Meta was the one stock that was negative, and look at the power rally. Boom. Basically diverging from the market. And I would still be interested in shorting Meta at the double top if it came into that level in the next, say 5 to 10 minutes. If you didn't cover BABA, you have an opportunity to do so. It's still really at those levels. Spiders are trying to catch a bounce. Qs are bouncing. So it's now 10:20. We've closed 2 for 2 winners today. So congratulations on those trades. Nice couple winners in our pockets on Intel and BABA. Being the fact that I am under the weather, my voice is nasally, I'm sneezing, blowing my nose. I am going to call this stream to an end. My expectations is just watch that dollar, and watch the volume trends. I do think the spiders have the ability to go negative and actually fill this gap. But realistically, just like yesterday and the previous 2 days, if those volume lightens up, which it's looking like it is, these markets could just float in a range. So on that note, congrats on the winners, and don't take any unnecessary trades. It's nearing the end of the month where I think we're going to see a bigger directional move. And up until that point, we just have to be patient and let the charts set up and see what happens and transpires. So take care, everybody, and we will see you on the charts. We'll actually, I'll just go off the mic and camera. We'll stay tuned for the nat gas inventories at 10:30, but I will be off camera and off the mic. If anything crazy happens, I'll jump back on quickly, but I'll be off the mic here.